My name is Emily Carter, and until a few months ago, I truly believed I was living a stable, peaceful life with my husband, Daniel. Daniel, the charming, soft-spoken man everyone admired. The one who made promises under the warm glow of sunset on our wedding day. The man who held my hands and said, "I choose you every day, Emily, no matter what this world becomes." I had believed him. God, I really did. He set up. That morning started just like every other. The smell of fresh coffee. The hum of the kitchen light. The soft tapping of Daniel typing away on his laptop. Routine, safe, predictable. "Morning, babe," he said without looking up, flashing a quick smile. One of those smiles that used to warm my whole chest. "Busy day today. Got a client meeting, might be home late." I nodded. "Want me to keep dinner warm?" "Nah, don't worry about it. Grab something simple for yourself." Something in his tone felt off, not wrong, just distant, but I brushed it off. People have bad days, right? Right. Little did I know, this wasn't a bad day. It was the beginning of my unraveling. Teachy first crack. Around 11 a.m., I drove to his office to surprise him with lunch. It wasn't something I did often. Maybe once every couple of months. He usually loved it. Said it made his stressful workday a little more bearable. I walked into the lobby with two warm containers, his favorite pesto pasta and garlic bread. The receptionist, a younger girl with friendly eyes, greeted me. "Mrs. Carter." "Hey." I thought Daniel was working from home today. My hand froze on the handle of the lunch bag. "Home?" I repeated. "He said he had a client meeting here." Her eyebrows pulled together in confusion. "No client meetings today. He told us he'd be online." My smile strained. "Oh, maybe I mixed up the days." "Thank you." I left quickly, heart beginning to beat a little too loud in my ears. The world outside felt blurry, like I was suddenly underwater. Why would he lie? Why say he'd be at the office? Where was he really? But I did something stupid that day. Something many wives do when they're scared to face the truth. I convinced myself it was nothing, a silly misunderstanding. Because admitting something was wrong meant opening a door I wasn't ready to look behind. Teach a second crack. That evening, Daniel came home later than usual. Around 9 p.m. His shirt smelled faintly of cologne, not his usual one. Something sweeter. Something feminine. I swallowed. My stomach tightened. "How was your meeting?" I asked casually. He didn't even look at me. "Long. Exhausting." "I'm gonna shower." I watched him walk away. Same man. Same posture. Same voice. But something in me whispered, he's lying. And the worst part, I couldn't understand why. Why lie about something so small? Unless the lie wasn't small at all. TG message. 2 days later, the universe stopped giving me soft warnings. It punched me in the face. Daniel had left his phone on the kitchen counter when he went upstairs to grab a file. A message popped up, a name I didn't recognize. "I had a great time yesterday. I can still feel your hands on me." Followed by a winking heart emoji. My body went cold, completely cold. My fingers trembled as I picked up the phone. The screen lit again with another message. "Same time tomorrow? I miss you already." That was it. The moment everything inside me broke. Quietly. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't even move. I just stood there, staring at those 2 lines of text that crashed 8 years of marriage like a wrecking ball. My husband, the man I cooked for, waited for, dreamed with, was touching someone else and enjoying it. THE performance OF a lifetime. Footsteps. Daniel was coming downstairs. Instinctively, I placed his phone exactly where he left it and stepped back. When he entered the kitchen, he kissed my cheek casually, grabbing his phone without noticing a thing. "Heading out," he said. "Got another late meeting." "A meeting?" "Yes, of course." I forced a smile. "Okay, drive safe." He left. Just left. And I watched him drive away through the kitchen window, my nails digging so deep into my palms I felt skin break. A small voice inside me said, "This is it. This is where a normal woman explodes, confronts, cries, demands answers." But I didn't. I didn't confront him. I didn't ask him who she was. I didn't tell him I saw the messages. Instead, I went silent, completely silent, because sometimes silence is the most dangerous weapon a betrayed woman can hold. THE decision. That night, instead of sleeping, I sat on the living room floor with a notebook, one I had bought 5 years ago to track grocery budgets. But today, I wrote something else inside it. A plan. A calm, calculated plan. Not to hurt him physically, not to scream at him, but to make him feel something far worse. Regret. Real, burning regret. The kind that eats a person from the inside. I wrote until dawn, line after line, detail after detail, mapping out my revenge, slowly, quietly, like stitching a net he wouldn't see coming. By sunrise, I closed the notebook. My tears had dried. My hands had stopped shaking. My heart had turned cold. Daniel walked into the living room, sipping coffee, unaware of the storm I was preparing. "Morning," he said. I looked at him and smiled for the first time since the betrayal. A calm, gentle smile. The kind that made him believe everything was okay, when it absolutely wasn't. Because I had already taken the first step toward a revenge so silent, so unexpected. It would leave him completely frozen when the truth came out. But the truth wouldn't come today. No. It would come later. Slowly. Painfully. Just like his betrayal did. And when it hits him, he'll wish he never touched another woman. And just when I thought I was ready for the next step in my plan, I discovered something else. Something even darker. Something that changed everything. Something that made my revenge 10 times sweeter. Something Daniel never thought I'd ever find out. And that terrifying discovery came the very next morning. If part one was the moment my heart cracked, part two is when the pieces began to rearrange themselves into something stronger, sharper, colder. The next morning, I woke up before Daniel. I didn't sleep much, but strangely, I didn't feel tired. Betrayal does that. It turns exhaustion into fuel. I heard the shower running upstairs. Perfect. I grabbed his laptop. Daniel was careless with his phone because he always kept it locked. But his laptop? That was wide open. No password. Just the home screen waiting for someone to explore. I never touched his personal devices before. I trusted him too much. But trust is a luxury you cannot afford with a cheating husband. I clicked open his email, not to snoop, but to confirm. I wasn't ready for what I found. travel receipts. There were 2 flight receipts in his trash folder, both from 6 weeks ago, both for Los Angeles, both for 2 passengers. The second passenger's name? Sophie Hale. My heart lurched. Sophie. The same woman who had texted him. The same woman he was planning to meet again. And these tickets, they weren't for business. They were for a weekend getaway, a romantic escape, a trip he told me he couldn't attend because he had a sudden conference that weekend. I remembered it too clearly. I had packed him lunch. I had kissed him goodbye. I had waited for his calls, all while he boarded a flight with another woman. My breathing grew shallow, but I forced myself to stay still. Emotion wouldn't help me now. Only clarity could. I clicked open an older email thread, one Daniel thought he'd hidden by deleting the messages. He didn't know that email accounts sync. And inside that thread, I found hotel confirmations, car rentals, even restaurant reservations for 2, all under the name Daniel and SH. Not trying to hide. Not even clever enough to use a fake name. He was living a double life right under my nose. The betrayal cut deeper than I imagined, but so did the realization. Daniel wasn't just cheating. He was planning a second relationship, a secret one. And suddenly, my revenge notebook felt small. Too small for the scale of betrayal he was building. But I wasn't done. Something else caught my eye. A folder. Titled simply, Bills, Personal. I opened it, and that's when I discovered something darker. secret account. Inside the folder were monthly deposits into a bank account I didn't know existed. Daniel wasn't just cheating emotionally. He was financially separating himself, hiding money, transferring thousands quietly, building a nest for himself, or for them. I felt a cold shiver run through me, anger, fear, disgust blending together like poison in my veins. My marriage wasn't cracking. It was already ruined. I just hadn't seen the wreckage yet. I shut the laptop quickly when I heard Daniel coming downstairs. He walked in, freshly showered, smelling like the same sweet perfume from his shirt last night. His eyes were tired, maybe from staying out late with her. But he looked at me with that familiar, casual smile. "Morning," he said. I returned the smile, but this one wasn't forced. This one had purpose. "Morning," I replied softly. I poured him coffee, placed his usual sugar, even gave him the cookies he loved. He had no idea he was drinking from the hands of a woman who now knew everything about his lies. And that was the power I held. "Big meeting today?" I asked casually. "Yeah," he lied without blinking. Probably won't be home till late again. Oh? I tilted my head. Same client as yesterday? His eyes flickered just slightly, just enough for me to know he sensed something. But then he nodded. Yeah, same one. He was lying. Again, again, again. But the more he lied, the more I smiled. Because a man who believes he's not caught is predictable. And predictable men are easy to destroy. When he left the house, I didn't cry. I didn't even pace. I grabbed my notebook, turned to a new page, and wrote a single sentence. He thinks I'm still in the dark. Then I wrote another. So I'll use his own darkness against him. Teach first move. At noon, I called Daniel's office. Hi, this is Emily Carter, I said. Is Daniel available? Oh, he's not working today, the receptionist answered. He took a personal day. A personal day. I swallowed a bitter laugh. All right, thank you. I ended the call and immediately checked the location sharing app we had installed long ago for emergencies. He had turned it off. He never turned it off, unless he didn't want me to know where he was. Perfect. The more he hid, the more information he accidentally gave me. My hands trembled with controlled adrenaline as I pulled out my car keys. If he was out there with her, I was going to see for myself. Not confront. Not yet. Just observe. Just collect evidence. Just let the truth dig a deeper hole for him. I followed the path I knew he took whenever he lied about meetings, toward the commercial district where Sophie worked as a freelance designer. And after 20 minutes of searching, I found them. Teachy sight that broke me. Daniel's car parked outside a small cafe. Through the glass window, Daniel sat at a corner table, facing a woman with long auburn hair, laughing, holding her hand, feeding her cake with his fork. I froze, not from shock, from clarity. Seeing them together wasn't the final blow. It was the final confirmation. It wasn't an affair. It was a relationship, a planned betrayal, a future he was building without me. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles whitened, forcing myself not to cry. Not here. Not in front of them. Instead, I took out my phone, took photos, videos, proof, every angle, every touch, every smile. My hands barely shook. I felt detached, like I was watching someone else's life fall apart. Something inside me hardened permanently. And then, something else happened. Sophie leaned forward, said something softly, and Daniel did the unthinkable. He kissed her. All deep, romantic. The way he used to kiss me. Before lies replaced love. My breath hitched, but I didn't look away. I kept filming, because this wasn't just heartbreak. This was ammunition. And then, just as I was about to drive off, Daniel did something I never expected. He reached into his bag, pulled out a small velvet box, and placed it on the table. My heart stopped. A ring box. A proposal box. I watched Sophie gasp, cover her mouth, tears in her eyes. She nodded. She said yes. My husband. My husband had just proposed to another woman, while still married to me. My world didn't crack this time. It shattered. Completely. But even as my vision blurred, even as my breath broke, one thought cut through the pain like a blade. This just made my revenge perfect. Because Daniel didn't know I was watching. He didn't know what I saw. He didn't know the storm coming for him. But he would. Soon. Very soon. And when the truth finally hit him, it would freeze him to his core. Because a man who thinks he has everything loses the most when it all collapses. And I was about to collapse his entire world, piece by piece, silently, brutally, perfectly. People think the worst moment of betrayal is when you first discover it. It's not. The worst moment is when you watch the person you loved choose someone else in real time. I drove home in silence, my hands numb on the steering wheel, my heartbeat slow and heavy. The image of Daniel opening that velvet box replayed again and again, stabbing me deeper each time. He didn't just cheat. He didn't just lie. He proposed to her while still married to me. And yet, I didn't fall apart. I didn't collapse or scream or break anything. Instead, I felt something terrifyingly calm inside me. A silence so powerful. Even the pain bowed down to it. By the time I reached home, the calmness had turned into something sharper. Focus. Determination. Purpose. Because watching Daniel propose to another woman didn't kill me. It evolved me. THENEW Emily. I sat at our dining table, the same table where Daniel and I laughed, fought, ate, planned vacations, dreamed about kids someday. Now, that table became my war room. I placed my notebook in front of me, opened to a fresh page. At the top, I wrote one line, revenge, but silent. Then, underneath, I created 4 columns: money, evidence, exposure, exit. Because I had finally accepted something. Daniel wasn't just walking out of a marriage. He was trying to erase me from it. He was hiding money, building a new life, preparing a future without me. But I wasn't going to let him walk away clean. No. I was going to make sure the truth crushed him the way his betrayal crushed me. But first, I had to pretend nothing was wrong. Daniel came home late that night. Very late. After midnight. I heard the front door unlock, the soft scrape of his shoes, the faint scent of that same sweet perfume clinging to his clothes. He hesitated when he saw me awake on the couch. You're still up. I smiled, warmly, gently, just like a loyal wife waiting for her husband. I couldn't sleep. Long day. He nodded, avoiding eye contact. Yeah. Meetings. Every day seems so busy for you lately, I said lightly. I barely see you anymore. His shoulders tensed, just slightly. A small crack in his performance. He forced a laugh. That's just work, You know how it is. I walked up to him slowly, held his arm, looked into his eyes. Daniel, I trust you. His eyes flickered. Guilt, shock, relief, all mixed together. He kissed my forehead and whispered, I know, liar. But this mask I wore, this soft, trusting wife, it made him blind. And a blind man is easy to trap. Digital truth. The next day, once Daniel left for work, I started phase 2 of my revenge. First, I backed up all his emails, screenshots, PDFs, hidden folders, flight details, hotel bills, the proposal receipts, his secret bank transfers. Next, I downloaded every photo and video I recorded of him with Sophie. Then, I called a lawyer, a strong, sharp, brilliant one. I want a consultation, I said. No confrontation yet. No divorce yet. I just need to know my power. He understood immediately. We spent 2 hours going through everything I collected. Every lie. Every transfer. Every document. By the end, he looked at me with wide eyes. Emily, you're sitting on a gold mine of evidence. What does that mean legally? I asked, my voice steady. It means, if you divorce him with these documents, you'll win everything. And he could face criminal charges for financial fraud if he attempted to hide marital assets. I nodded slowly. Perfect. Don't confront him, the lawyer warned. Build your case silently. Let him think he's still winning. I smiled, because that was exactly my plan. Daniel thought he was the smartest man in the room, but he forgot one thing. People who suffer in silence observe everything. And I had observed enough. Each wedding ring trick. That afternoon, I did something subtle but strategic. I took off my wedding ring. Not dramatically. Not sadly. I simply placed it inside my bedside drawer. Out of sight, but not gone. Daniel didn't notice that night, or the night after. Because cheaters always assume their victims are still clueless. And I needed him to remain clueless. When betrayal deepened, 2 days later, something unexpected happened. I found Sophie's Instagram. Public and filtered. Filled with clues. Photos from the cafe. Photos from a hotel room. Photos of her wearing a necklace I had seen on Daniel's credit card bill last month. Photos of 2 wine glasses. 2 dinner plates. 2 shadows. But the worst part, a photo posted just hours ago. Her hand. A diamond ring on it. Caption. He chose me. I stared at that photo for almost a minute, then smiled. Not from jealousy, from realization. Daniel thought he had already replaced me. He thought I was just the past, the old life, the old wife. He thought he had won, but he didn't know. I was already planning the endgame, and it was going to hit him harder than anything he could ever imagine. That evening, Daniel walked into the bedroom while I was sorting laundry. He leaned against the doorway casually. I need to talk to you about something. My heart remained calm, steady, controlled. Oh? I said softly, folding his shirt. He scratched the back of his neck nervously. So, I'm traveling next week. Business again. Of course. His business trip with Sophie. I kept my face expressionless. How many days? 4. Maybe 5. All right, I said. I hope it goes well. He blinked, surprised I wasn't asking more questions. Then he walked closer, placed his hand on my shoulder. I love you, Emily. For the first time ever since discovering the truth, I almost laughed. Love. Love doesn't lie. Love doesn't cheat. Love doesn't propose to someone else. But I looked up at him, my eyes soft. I love you too, Daniel. He kissed me. A cold, empty kiss. I let him. Because he would remember this kiss someday. The last lie he believed from my lips. Teach email that changed everything. Later that night, I checked the shared tablet in the living room. Daniel never logged out of anything on it. There, in plain sight, was the confirmation email for his upcoming business trip, and attached to it was a hotel reservation. 1 room, 2 guests, Daniel Carter and Sophie Hale. And at the bottom, a note written by Sophie. Can't wait to start our new life. I stared at those words, my breath shallow, but not from heartbreak anymore, from clarity, from power. Because that sentence sealed Daniel's fate. That sentence guaranteed I would win. That sentence made my revenge final, unstoppable, unbreakable. But then, just when I thought I had seen everything, another email arrived. Subject line: once you tell her, we'll be free. My blood went cold. Tell who? Tell me? Was he going to confess? Was he planning to leave? Was he about to destroy my life openly? Or was something even darker happening behind my back? I clicked the email, and what I read inside shocked me more than the cheating, more than the proposal, more than the betrayal. Because inside the email was a secret so devastating. It changed the entire direction of my revenge. And it was a secret Daniel never wanted me to find. A secret that could destroy him completely. I stared at the email for at least 10 seconds before my brain processed the words. It wasn't long. It wasn't complicated. It wasn't emotional. It was strategic, calculated, almost like a blueprint for betrayal. The email was from Sophie. Subject line: once you tell her, we'll be free. And the body contained just 3 sentences. Stop delaying. If she finds out on her own, everything gets messy. Tell her before the trip, so we can finally move forward. Tell me. What? Move forward. How? My pulse quickened as I read it again and again. Everything gets messy? Tell me what? I scrolled down. There was a PDF attached, titled Financial Plan D and S Future. My stomach dropped. I opened it, and what I saw made my skin go cold. Teach e-future they built without me. The PDF was a spreadsheet, labeled with dates, budgets, plans. On the top left corner were their initials, DS and SH. Joint life timeline. Life. They were literally planning a future, step by step. Here were the headings: sell our house, liquidate shared assets, move to Los Angeles full-time, start business venture, confirm final divorce papers, prenatal budget if applicable. Prenatal? Prenatal? My heart began to pound as I scanned the notes underneath, line by horrifying line. Once Emily signs the divorce papers, we'll announce publicly. Emily won't contest. She's too passive. Keep finances separate until Emily is out of the picture completely. Need Daniel's signature to add Sophie as beneficiary. I froze. Beneficiary. He was changing beneficiaries. Meaning, if something happened to him, she would get everything. Not me. Not his wife. Her. My chest tightened with a sudden realization. Daniel wasn't just cheating. He wasn't just hiding money. He wasn't just planning a future. He was financially erasing me, preparing to replace me completely. But then, I scrolled to the very last line of the spreadsheet, and it was the line that snapped something permanently inside me. Once settled, we'll start trying for a baby. I sat back slowly. A bitter laugh escaped me. A baby. A fresh start. A whole new life. He wanted to build everything with her. Everything he told me he wasn't ready for. Marriage counseling, kids, commitment, future planning. All the things he told me we should take slow. He was ready for all of that, just not with me. And then, just when I thought I'd seen every betrayal possible, the screen refreshed. A new message. From Sophie. I clicked it instantly. Subject line: I told you I can't do this anymore unless she's out. My heart stuttered. And then I read the message. I'm pregnant. I told you last week. You promised you'd leave her before the trip. Don't make me do this alone. Pregnant. She was pregnant. My husband. My lying, cheating, coward of a husband had gotten Sophie pregnant. And they had been planning to tell me. Together. To force a divorce. To start their new life officially. I felt a wave of heat rush through my body, my hands shaking, my vision blurring. But not from sadness. Not from heartbreak. From rage. a deep, visceral, silent rage that settled into my bones like fire. This wasn't just an affair. This wasn't just a proposal. This was replacement, elimination, destruction. They wanted me out of the picture, quietly, cleanly, without trouble. And Daniel was planning to tell me next week, right before their trip, right before their new life began, right before Sophie's pregnancy started to show. I sat perfectly still, like a statue carved out of betrayal. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even breathe for a few seconds. Then slowly, very slowly, a smile pulled at the corner of my lips. Because now I wasn't just planning revenge. I was executing justice. I stayed awake the entire night, piecing together the timeline, the details, the moves. I printed everything, every email, every receipt, every photo, every spreadsheet, every message. I organized them in a binder labeled Truth. And then I prepared my masterpiece. The next evening, I decided to set the first trap. Daniel, I said sweetly, let's have dinner together. Just us. He hesitated for a split second. That split second told me everything. He didn't want to spend time with me. He was terrified I'd noticed something was off. He was worried Sophie would complain. But he forced a smile. Of course, I'd love to. Liar. I made his favorite pasta, creamy, rich, perfect. The kind he always bragged about to friends. He sat across from me at the table, fork in hand, pretending everything was normal. How's work? I asked casually. Busy as always, he muttered. I wanted to laugh. Instead, I leaned forward gently. Daniel, is everything okay between us? That question nearly made him choke. What? Yes, of course. Why would you ask that? I tilted my head, studying him. You just seemed distracted. He looked down. He couldn't meet my eyes. That was the guilt, the fear, the double life collapsing under its own weight. I slowly reached across the table and touched his hand. Daniel, I hope you know you can tell me anything. His face paled. Anything. He swallowed. Hard. I don't know what you mean, he stammered. I gave him a warm, patient smile. Just, if something is troubling you, I'm here. His hand tightened around his fork. He wasn't ready to confess. He was scared to spark drama before his trip. He didn't want Sophie to get upset. Perfect. Let him squirm. Let him drown in the lie he built. Because the truth was about to explode, and I wanted him close when it happened. When we finished dinner, Daniel stood up to put his plate away. And that's when his phone buzzed. A new message. From Sophie. The notification preview flashed clearly. Did you tell her? I can't keep waiting. I'm scared. The baby. Daniel froze. His entire body turned stiff. My eyes remained on his. Cold. Sharp. Unblinking. I smiled softly, like I had seen nothing. But Daniel knew he was seconds away from disaster. He stammered, grabbed his phone, turned it face down on the table. Spam message, he muttered weakly. But his hands were trembling, and my silence was louder than any scream. He walked backwards slowly, the panic rising in his eyes. Emily, we need to talk tomorrow, he whispered. Tomorrow. Tomorrow he planned to break me. But tomorrow, I was going to break him. Because I was done pretending. I was done hurting. I was done being the quiet wife he underestimated. And tomorrow, Daniel would learn exactly what silent revenge looks like. I stood there, right in the center of my living room, facing the man who had torn my heart apart, my husband, the same man who once swore to protect me, love me, cherish me. And now, he looked more broken than I had ever been. Not because of guilt, but because his perfect little plan had finally collapsed on his head. Eric's eyes darted between me and Priya, who stood silently behind me, arms folded, her expression unreadable. The entire house felt colder, sharper, like every corner was watching him. I could feel my pulse in my throat, but my voice was steady. Eric, do you want to repeat what you just said? He swallowed hard. I want another chance. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. A mistake. That word again. That infuriating, pathetic excuse of a word. I laughed, and it came out louder than I intended. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is burning dinner. Cheating on your wife for months is not a mistake. It's a choice. A deliberate betrayal. He winced. I know. I just want to fix things now. Fix things? I echoed. You mean fix your life. Your perfect little image. Your reputation. His face flushed, because he knew I was right. Now that I held all the cards, the messages, the photos, the financial documents, He wasn't begging for love. He was begging to save himself. I stepped closer, my voice low. You're not sorry for what you did to me. You're sorry because I didn't stay quiet like you expected. Priya stepped forward. Unbelievable. He really thinks he can cheat, lie, manipulate, and then come back when things fall apart. Eric turned toward her angrily. This is between me and my wife. No, Priya shot back. This is between you and reality. Something you've been avoiding. He ignored her and looked at me again, desperation growing. Maya, please. I can change. I'll cut her off. Delete everything. I'll prove myself. You already proved yourself, I said coldly. Just not the way you think. His jaw trembled. Maya, don't do this. Don't walk away from us. I felt a sting in my eyes. I hated the tears that tried to form. He didn't deserve them. But even then, even after everything, my heart mourned the man I once believed he was. There is no us, I whispered. There hasn't been for a long time. I turned toward the desk drawer and took out the envelope I'd prepared. I handed it to him. What is this? He asked shakily. Freedom, I replied. Divorce papers. His entire body froze. The man who once stood so tall now looked small, fragile, defeated. He tore the envelope open, his hands trembling. No, Maya, please don't do this. I already did, I said. All the evidence is in there too. Financial documents, chat logs, pictures, screenshots, the complete story of what you did behind my back. His breath grew shallow. You're going to destroy me. I tilted my head. Did you think I would let you destroy me instead? He shook his head wildly. Maya, please. I'll lose everything. That's what betrayal costs, I said simply. He opened his mouth, but no words came. He looked shattered, completely, utterly frozen, just like I promised he would be. I turned away and took a deep breath. Priya placed a comforting hand on my shoulder, but Eric wasn't done. He suddenly dropped to his knees. Maya, please. I promise I'll fix this. I'll do anything. Anything. I didn't turn back. Stand up, I said softly. You don't get to kneel and save yourself now. He let out a broken sob. Priya stepped between us. You need to leave. Now. Eric looked up at me one last time. Maya, please. I love you. No, I said. You love control. You loved power. You loved secrecy. But you never loved me. He flinched as if I had slapped him. I opened the front door. Goodbye, Eric. Slowly, painfully, he stood and walked out with the envelope clutched in his hands. He didn't fight anymore. He just left. The moment the door closed, the entire house felt lighter, warmer, clearer, like I'd been living under a storm cloud for months, and the thunder had finally passed. I exhaled deeply, and for the first time in a long time. It didn't hurt to breathe. Priya hugged me tightly. I'm proud of you. You didn't scream. You didn't break things. You didn't let anger control you. You ended it with dignity. I smiled faintly. It wasn't silence. It was strength. We sat together on the couch, just breathing in the quiet. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from liberation. Priya nudged me. So what now? I looked around at my home, at the life I thought was permanent, the marriage I thought was unbreakable. I start over, I said, one step at a time. And revenge? She asked playfully. I gave a small, knowing smile. My silent revenge already happened. What do you mean? I leaned back. Eric expected tears, drama, chaos. He expected me to beg, but I gave him none of it. I took control. I exposed the truth, and then I walked away with my head high. Priya grinned. That's the kind of revenge men never see coming. I nodded. He'll feel that silence for the rest of his life. As the evening sun cast warm light through the windows, I realized something. Something powerful. Revenge didn't fix my broken heart, but it gave me closure. It gave me peace. It gave me. I stood, walked to the mirror, and looked at myself. My reflection wasn't the same woman who cried in her car, or the woman who questioned her worth, or the woman who hoped her husband would change. This woman, me, was stronger, wiser, and unbreakable. And maybe one day, I would love again. Maybe one day, someone would treat my heart with the care it deserved. But today was about reclaiming my life. I whispered to my reflection. You survived the betrayal. Now live for yourself. And with that, I closed the chapter of Eric forever. But little did I know, my new life was about to take a twist I never saw coming. A knock echoed on the door behind me. A voice I recognized, but never expected. Maya, can we talk? I froze. My heart stopped because it wasn't Eric. It was someone who should not have been here. But that is a story for another day.